Our game this week is the PSN downloadable title called Rain, recently released. When did this come out? A couple weeks ago?
Came out a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Couple weeks ago. Okay, so PlayStation Network exclusive, $14.99. Why don't we run the footage for this, please?
Let's do that.
Okay, so what are we going to say about this? This is one of those games, they talk about these, it's games as art, right? And I think this is one of those games.
This is like Journey, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that what I felt when I was playing the game was it was kind of in the vein of like Ico. Not so much Shadow of the Colossus, but it definitely felt like I was playing Ico a little bit the whole time I was playing it, because it's the whole thing about like a silent protagonist, and you're kind of like you find a girl who's in trouble, and you're kind of like the two of you are working together to solve puzzles.
Right, the puzzle solving and the two characters working together, right.
Yeah, so I mean it felt a lot, and like even like the dreary setting kind of felt a lot like Ico. So if I had to liken it to anything, I would say that that's the closest thing that I could compare it to.
It's got that funny sort of placement of the camera at a, in a more cinematic angle than your game.
If I had to offer a criticism about the game, is that the camera is fixed, and it did lead to some. I mean, there's not any like heavy combat in the game, so it wasn't really an issue. But the camera was fixed, so it led to some kind of like difficulties seeing around corners and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's all appropriate. I mean, all the camera angles are pretty cinematic. The music's awesome.
Idea what he's supposed to do.
I mean, whoever's playing this is running around like an imbecile. But I have no like other than that.
Right.
It's one of those situations in a game where you just wish your character could climb over that fence.
So
yeah, it's just a little too high. It's just a little too high. Yeah.
So let's set this up a little bit here. So the deal here is you play as this boy, and he's invisible. He's in some kind of like dreamland or some kind of like alternate dimension or something, and so he can only be seen when he's in the rain, right? So when he's standing around here, you can see him now because the rain is pouring on him. But that's how like if you get hit by these enemies, like that's it. You get hit once and you're dead. So
really?
Yeah, your best bet is to like avoid them or hide in area, like hide underneath overhangs or hide underneath stuff where the rain's not pouring so they can't see you.
Oh, they can't see you either.
Right. The only other thing
they can see you when you're exposed or if you're like covered in dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're under an overhang, they can't see you.
They're made out of the same stuff you are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't see them either. If they're under an overhang, you can't see them.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I mean, it led to some It felt like a gameplay mechanic that they could have exploited a bit more if they weren't so focused on making the game like an art piece. If they had really focused on that, they could have made it like a more stealthy adventure. But I mean, whoever made it was more focused on making it a cinematic experience rather than like a gameplay experience. So although it looked cool, they never really exploited it to the fullest.
Yeah.
This looks like something Seth and Laszlo would come up with.
That's a good point. You can notice here, the whole thing kind of plays out like a storybook, right? So at the beginning, it like gives you a bunch of background, and then as you play,
it's all in like watercolor cutscenes with no dialogue and just music.
You'll see the text pop up like as you go through the game. The text will pop up and like give you more narration kind of as you go.
Right.
And the narration is always in kind of like this 60s like noir type of like dialogue. It's always like, and then the boy fell softly through the murky raindrops, and it's like, and you're like, okay, I kind of get it. You're being like melodramatic here.
So there's a lot of running and like chase sequences. There's puzzles like we mentioned. You got to move objects around. You go through, you avoid the enemies, and later on though, like I said, if you take one hit from any of the enemies, you're done. Later though, there's these little critters that attack the other enemies. So there's ways you can use those things to your advantage in certain spots. I'll say.
You gotta trap the guy.
Yeah. I'll say, I mean, you can see from the footage, the environments are really cool. It's got this European city feel. There's a couple levels, like one you go to an abandoned factory, and then there's like the abandoned circus ground right here. So the environments are pretty cool. Just a lot of puzzle solving, climbing. As far as like sound, I did have one nitpicky thing on the sound. Like they use Debussy's Clair de Lune, which
it doesn't surprise me at all.
It fits, but like,
oh come on, no, dude, that it was such an appropriate choice for the game.
I don't know, Seth game.
I don't know, dude. I thought when I was going through and I heard that like that song, it's good. Like it's a.
Did they just
really,
bow?
I don't know. Did they? I didn't catch that. But for whatever reason, like, dude, I
Sorry.
think they can use that, but like, dude, that is just so super overused. I feel like they just should have come up with something original and just use that. And just come up with.
I liked it. It was really fitting for the game. I really
So you thought it was good?
Well, I've
This
heard the piece before, and then it was rearranged, and they added some vocals to it. I think it sounded. I think for the game,
Oh,
it
yeah,
sounded.
yeah,
It was
the
an, it was
yeah,
an
that was-
appropriate choice.
That was the other thing I wasn't sure about, the vocals at the end. Yeah.
When did you start leading the
That's
Boston
just
Symphony
an
Orchestra?
opinion.
What do you know? What do you know about music?
Come on.
You listen to Hootie and the Blowfish and Madonna.
Not anymore. Well, yeah, Madonna, but
Madonna's awesome.
When you're in your Jeep, you're playing Big Gun, and you're just jamming and
no,
slamming in there.
Dude, old Madonna, not new Madonna's. Oh man. She's,
You and me, we come from a
Yeah.
different world.
Well, let's get back. Let's get back to this game. See, I
Anyway.
don't listen to that anymore.
This
dude.
is making me think of La Strada.
I don't know. It's like
Last da.
so. This is. How long do you think this game is? Like, this game is only a few hours long. I don't really have much more to say about this.
Yeah, I mean it's a very short experience, but there are very few games that can elicit kind of like most games you kind of play through it and you're like, that's cool, and there's some cool moments. But the game was really heavy on atmosphere. So most games,
Right.
most
Just like
games,
Journey.
yeah. So I mean, most games can't like pull like that, like certain feelings out of you. This game was like so drenched in atmosphere.
Drenched.
Yeah. You got that? You like that? You like that little like plug I put in there?
Hilarious.
All right. Yeah, okay. I'm
Anyway.
a really funny guy. If anybody wants to pay me to be on a
Freaking
TV show,
genius.
but yeah, genius. But yeah, I mean the game was so heavy. The game was so heavy in atmosphere. It was literally dripping.
All right.
Oh God.
What is that noise?
It's freaking. It's the noise when you crash in Paperboy.
The game made me really. The game really just soaks up all your emotions.
There's those critters I was talking about, right? So these things sometimes they're locked behind like a grate or something, but
Look like giant
here
ticks.
they're out in the open.
Yeah.
I'm
They
not
look
sure.
like white tribbles.
I'm not sure what this dude's gonna do here, but if there were an enemy, like those things will attack the enemies and get them out of the way for you. So, yeah, I mean, this is you want to.
I will say if you would like a more comprehensive, intelligent view on the game, please read my response on the GameSlean website.
Right.
Nah.
Viewers at home who also sometimes like to read things
Right. Toom also has a written review up for this game on our website, GameSlean.tv.
because
So,
I enjoyed it that much.
There it is, there down the bottom. Yes, this was an excellent game. So, anything else, or do you want to give the overall?
I will say no. I mean, I will say that everything about the game was cool. I really enjoyed it. I wish that they had turned it into more. They could have really emphasized, like, exploited some of the stealth elements to make it a longer game. But I'm not unhappy with what they did. Overall, I mean, it was a really rewarding experience. So I would recommend everybody spending the $15 to play it. It's pretty short though.
Okay. So why don't we throw up our overall here? There it is. Buy. So just because
Buy it.
Just the game because it's so short, I'm a little bit on the line here with the buy. Usually I look for a little bit more playtime, but $15 isn't too much. And you know the level of gameplay and as Tom mentioned the atmosphere, it's worth a buy. So there you have it.
If you like Ico and Journey and emotions, you will like this game.
If you like emotions.
If you like having some emotions sometimes, you might like it. This game will get you. This game will soak you in emotions.
Oh God.
All right,
You'll get wet with them.
You'll get all sorts of wet with emotions.
there you have it, guys. So that's Rain on PlayStation Network. Check it out.